So, we definitely have a few strange things to talk about today, but first, I do want to go ahead and talk about this because there is no way this is just a coincidence.
Another thing I believe I heard on your podcast that you've discussed with the president is UFOs. Do you
Yeah.
think that he's about to make an announcement about UFOs? Because President Obama was just on a podcast talking about how he believes in UFOs and hinting that he saw something when he was president.
Well, I said this in my podcast too. What's funny is we've kind of asked my father-in-law about this because we're like, well, what do you know? Because
Yeah.
Miranda, we all want to know about the UFOs, or we all want to know what's going on. And he played a little coy with us. And so that, of course, led us to believe, Eric and I were like, oh my gosh, if he won't even like fully tell us, maybe there's more to it. And then I have just heard kind of around that I think he's actually said, I think my father-in-law's actually said it, that there is some speech that he has that I guess at the right time, and I don't know when the right time is, he's gonna break out and talk about, and it has to do with maybe some sort of extraterrestrial life, so to speak. I just, I look at things from the perspective of the vastness of our universe, and I'm a kind of a numbers person. I don't get nervous flying because the odds are very much in your favor flying. The odds that anything will happen to you are far greater in a car than they ever will be in an airplane. But I'm also looking at the odds in terms of how much is out there in the universe. And it would be pretty wild to think that the only spot where there was any sort of life in the entire universe was here on Earth. So I don't have any information. I feel like there might be information out there, and hopefully it's going to be able to be told to all of us very soon. We'll see.
So does the president act as if he believes there are UFOs and that this is going to be some momentous announcement, or is it just, a casual observation that there might be something out there?
It's a good question. I mean, he's kind of been very cool about it. Whenever I've heard this come up about this possible speech, and when Eric asked him, he just it, knowing him as well as I do, the way he says things, they make a difference sometimes, and he's been a little different about this one. So it makes me personally think that there's something that he knows that the rest of us don't know. And so I'll let people determine for themselves whatever that means. But yeah, it makes me think there's more to come.
Very interesting.
So, Laura Trump says this, but watch what Trump says about what Barack Obama said when it came to aliens, and you can just tell they are hyping this up.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
The president can declassify anything that he wants to. So
Well,
if you
maybe I'll
want to
get him
make
out
an
of trouble.
announcement,
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
we know illegal.
So, more than likely, what he's referring to is Obama getting in trouble talking about the existence of aliens before he gives his big speech on aliens, like Laura Trump said. In just the span of only days, we had those on the left and the right going on podcasts talking about the existence of quote unquote aliens. I have been doing this for a long time, well before I had even gone onto YouTube. Even going back to when I can remember 03, 04, I was out there in the streets talking to people, trying to tell people pretty much what I'm talking about today because there's really nothing new under the sun. The reason why I didn't make videos back then was because I have a lisp, I have a Jersey accent, so I was pronouncing words weird. So that was like the perfect storm of sounding bad on camera, but now I don't care. But the reason why I bring that up happens to be because talking to people, even back then, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, there are quite a few people out there that believe that the government, they are the ones behind this alien agenda, and what we are led to believe are aliens are something a whole lot more. Flash forward to today, and we're seeing it play out in real time. And I still have people leaving me comments saying, well, how can you not believe in aliens out of all these planets out there, out of all these different stars? something else has to exist, and I can get into the biblical aspect of it. These same people will just roll their eyes, and I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want to talk about the biblical aspect of it, well, just look at the timing. We have this clear ramp up of talks about UFOs and aliens, not just from the media, which is still owned and operated by the three-letter organization, but also from the government as well, just right before their 2030 One World United Nations agenda, where the World Economic Forum and the United Nations are coming together to have all these countries to follow one rule, one law. We have Larry the Lizard King Fink, the current leader of the World Economic Forum, constantly talking about the tokenization of all assets. Well, what did we hear just a few weeks ago? And this is coming from the United Kingdom, not the United States, that once Trump gives a speech and he goes ahead and reveals aliens, that it's going to go ahead and crash the economy, that the banks have to prepare. Flash forward just a couple weeks later, we have all these sources now coming out talking about how Trump has a speech prepared to not just talk about, but also disclose UFOs and aliens. How is that just a mere coincidence? Because you have to ask yourself, why would the revelation of UFOs and aliens crash the economy? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Let's just play with the idea that Trump has a speech prepared and he says that, yeah, we've known about UFOs and aliens. The government, they haven't interacted with aliens. Why would that crash the economy? Unless they have a major event prepared, a false flag involving these so-called aliens. That would pretty much restart everything, including the economy, and this is where we get the tokenization of all assets. And I wouldn't doubt one bit too that they're going to go ahead and come out and say that a lot of the people walking among us are not even human. They are aliens in disguise, and this is where the digital ID is going to come into play. In order to prove you're fully human, you must comply with the digital ID. Now, before anybody says that sounds absolutely crazy, now it sounds like I'm going off the deep end, hold on a second, because Sam Altman actually has something like that to prove you're human called a World ID, where you go ahead and scan your eyeball and you give them all this data, and once they prove you're a human, then they'll go ahead and give you this World Coin, a cryptocurrency where you can go ahead and buy and sell. Now, and I've spoken about this before, as of 2026, crazy enough, close to 18 million people have scanned their eyeballs and have a verified World ID. And these orbs that you look into and scan your eyeball, they are expanding rapidly. Now, yes, just to clarify, this World ID is to prove you're a human versus a computer versus an AI. But what if this is a test run? And with your world tokens, your world coins, you can sell them for digital dollars, you can buy digital gifts, you can exchange them for other currencies. So it definitely seems like one giant test run, and so many people are going to go ahead and comply. And for a couple years, I have been noticing they have been using news and media to sell the idea that these aliens are walking among us. Take, for example, this video from the very shady TMZ.
Have you ever heard of crypto-terrestrials? You know, everybody talks about aliens coming from space and then disappearing. What if they're actually living among us? Right.
Sounds like an old science fiction movie, but a study out of Harvard finds that aliens might be living among us. Harvard University's Human Flourishing Program speculates UFOs may be spaceships visiting alien friends planted right here on Earth, that is. Those aliens then are disguised as humans trying to fit in. Study examines 4 different alien.
And remember all those people making videos of them ripping off their faces to reveal an alien underneath? Now, I think this was last month. This is nothing but conditioning. Then on top of this, we have this movie coming out by Steven Spielberg called Disclosure Day, where they show us just that in the movie, directions from all forms of media, from movies to news to social media. And I'm even starting to think that a few years ago, when we had all these crazy plane incidents with people like, for example, the woman known as Tiffany Gomez, Tom Calling, getting up and panicking saying that these people are not real, is playing into this. You even have people out there believing that the release of the Jeffrey files is a soft disclosure to something like this, that the so-called powers that be are not humans, which, come on, they're not. But you have people out there constantly reading emails of them alluding to eating people using code words like beef jerky. We're hearing a lot about the experimentation, genetic experimentations. But at the end of the day, no matter what they reveal, it's all going to be a part of their great lie, their final card, their final deception. These are not things from another planet that's 33,000 light years away coming across on a ship that weighs exactly 33 billion tons. Yes, these are real news articles, and you can see just by the numerology, the 33s, they are playing us. These are things that have always been here. These are entities. These are demons, fallen ones. With a mix of AI, CGI, holograms, these entities, and the government, this is what's going to be unleashed. And the great lie is that they're coming from another planet. And we all have to put our differences aside and unite and become this one world to combat against them. And don't forget to get your retina scan to prove you're not one of them, so you can go ahead and get your world token to be added to your digital ID. You have the main guy on the left, Obama. You have the main people on the right involving Trump and Trump himself, now coming together to talk about aliens. Come on, I mean, how can anybody not see what's going on here? This is something we have been talking about for years, and now it's coming to fruition.
If you haven't heard about the insane connection between the United Nations headquarters, where it's located, and the fallen angels of the Book of Enoch, then make sure you stick around. Strangely enough, the United Nations headquarters is located on Mount Hermon. Coincidentally, when you read the Book of Enoch, the fallen angels, there was 200 of them who descended on the days of Jared in the summit of Mount Hermon. Now, as if that's not crazy enough, the location, the latitude and longitude of Mount Hermon is 33.33 east and 33.33 north. And then we take a look at the United Nations logo, and if you see the individual sections here, if you count them, there's 33 sections. What a striking coincidence. We know in Freemasonry, the highest level that you can achieve is 33 degrees, which is why they use this number in everything.
Going back to what I was saying, the 33,000 light years away, 33 billion tons, they run all these scripted rituals by the numbers. These fallen entities are in very high up places making a lot of decisions, like for example, the United Nations. And not just up in the government, they are definitely infiltrating the schools. This next video comes from Moon Henry.
You better watch yourself and your kids. Would you believe me if I told you that this mural was painted in a middle school? We'll get into the implications of all this in 1 second, but this was a mural painted by a middle schooler in Jenks Middle School in Rhode Island. But wait, it gets even worse. The teacher helped the child draw this mural of Moloch, and it was checked off by the administrator of the school. The student was tasked with bringing forth better academia outcomes. Moloch is the deity of child. A lot of people still don't know this, but before his name was Moloch, his name was Baal or Baal. He was the golden calf of the Canaanites. Now the parents actually complained against the school, so they painted over this, but guess what? It's still there underneath the paint. Do y'all not know the ramifications for having a literal child deity on the wall, even if it's under paint? This is Satanism right out in the opening. Not just in concerts, on the TV, it's in your schools now. I don't even show y'all ever trash like this. But guess what? What I just showed you is better than this. At what point are people going to realize it's a spiritual war and they're after the souls of your kids? Full-blown Satanism is in every aspect of your life, and people still say there's no God. The irony.
And talking about Hollywood, look at this episode from American Horror Story, another TV show that always gives the truth in plain sight, but listen to what they say at the end.
I herefore, for this exquisite, youthful, vegan, American pancreas, from corn-fed Iowa.
You have your eye on that one, huh?
Well, it's a beauty, isn't it? We have 4.
You look in good health. Why the interest?
Who is going to make it for 50? You must be new at this.
My first time.
The organ's not for me. This is strictly retail. But very few patients come through here. Mostly those interested in the aftermarket. You can move these in Russia or China and double the price. They love American organs over there. Don't ask me why. Do I hear 550? 550. Why are you here? Medical reasons?
Just curious, I guess.
You know, some people consider human organ meat a great delicacy. I hear that there's a little bistro in Paris where a human thymus gland is lightly broiled like sweetbread. 750. 750 going once. Going twice.
To say
Why me?
low-hanging fruit, wrong place at the wrong time. Your DNA was on Ancestry.com and your genetic profile was perfect. Men like you...
Not only is this episode showing us this group of people going to this location to buy, sell, and devour human parts, but at the end, it talks about finding the perfect prey through these DNA websites, and it kind of reminds me of 23andMe. Anne Wojcicki has been known to frequent Jeffrey's Island, and not just that, when she lost the company, and people were like, what's going to happen to all this DNA? Well, she gained it right back through her nonprofit company for whatever reason. These entities, and you can't even call them people, but these entities are downright evil, and they always have to show us. And they have us, the public, also playing into this because this is what they also put in the food. Now, this may sound like new information, but this company, Sinomix, they have recently come out and said that they are partnering with Nestle. Now, this news came out in 2024, but it's also going into 2026. Sinomix or Cenomix, they are known for adding certain things into food involving certain cells.
Cenomix, okay? Cenomix is a transnational company that creates flavor enhancement for products for transnational companies like Pepsi, Kraft, Nestle, Campbell's. And what they've been doing is that they grabbed kidney cells from human aborted fetuses. So they grab these kidney cell lines, las células sanguíneas de los riñones de bebés abortados, and in laboratory, they replicate these cells and they put them in all your products. Lo ponen en los productos. What products are we talking about? Well, we're talking about your Gatorade. Drink some aborted babies. Yes, seriously. We're talking about Lay's chips. Yeah, that's why they taste so good, don't they? Pepsi products, all right? Tropicana juices, Dasani water, Minute Maid. We have to not consume anything from these companies. And tell them that we're going to participate in their insane ritual.
Further details on Sinomix and its new sweet enhancing ingredients. And Chris, were you able to find out how the sweet mix additive actually works?
So Sinomix wouldn't actually talk to me for this story, but from what I've found from other scientists I talked to is that it basically, the ingredient interacts with the taste receptors on the tongue. And what it essentially does is it tricks the brain into thinking that there's actually more sugar than the amount of sugar that's actually in the food.
So since this would lower the calorie consumption of soft drinks, making them taste sweeter with less sugar in them, why are some scientists concerned about the health impact?
So the main concern is obviously you would want to have any new ingredient kind of vetted really well before it goes into food. And the main concern is that the FDA actually didn't review this for safety. And it doesn't have to be, because there's a loophole in a 57-year-old law, which basically allows companies to have their ingredients reviewed by an industry trade group. And in this case, what happens is a company like Sinomix and other flavor companies will go to the trade group that represents the flavor industry. It's called the Flavor and Extract Manufacturers Association. And they have a panel of experts that review the safety of these ingredients. But critics of this loophole basically say that companies like Sinomix are exploiting it and that the FDA should be reviewing these.
And what did that group find?
So there's a consumer group called the Center for Science in the Public Interest, based in Washington, D.C. And what they did is they took a look to see if at 4 sweetness enhancing ingredients from Sinomix, including this latest one, and they wanted to see what studies were done. And what they found is that some studies that are recommended by the FDA weren't completed. And they think that these studies should be done. One study for Sweet Mix actually was a reproduction study to see how it affects reproduction. And they say that these ingredients should be vetted a lot more and that the federal government should be doing it.
Sure. So what is Sinomix and Pepsi saying about these concerns?
So Sinomix, Pepsi, and the trade group all declined interview requests, but they said in written statements that that these were properly reviewed and that they're safe, and that the industry also says for a lot of these that these are used in very small amounts and the risk is very little.
Now, will this new ingredient actually be labeled like aspartame or any other artificial sweetener?
So no, actually it's going to be artificial flavors. So it's not going to be listed like aspartame and other ingredients are actually individually on the food label.
So it'll just be lumped in. You'll see on the ingredients.
It'll just say artificial flavors and it'll be under there.
When is Pepsi going to start selling this enhanced drink with this enhanced additive?
Sure, so it's coming to store shelves this fall. It's going to be in 2 products to start. It's going to be in mug root beer in 2 test markets in Denver and Philadelphia, and then another drink called Manzanita Soul, which is, they're going to put that in all the Manzanita Souls all across the country. It's mainly sold in the Southwest.
Y'all, just when we thought this Nancy Guthrie case couldn't get any weirder, everybody's been saying for 18 days it's like a movie, right? And remember Sheriff Nanos saying he doesn't like the spotlight, he's not used to it? Guess who's filming a reality show? Sheriff Nanos and his whole sheriff's department. I'm at a loss for words. WTF? What is really going on here? Tell me your thoughts, because I am shook.
Because that's exactly what this all is. It's one big show for people to focus on. That was clear when she was pretty much word for word copying Silence of the Lambs when she was describing her mother.
I don't think I can watch this Mr. Beast show with you. I think he's evil. I legitimately think he's evil. I think there's something about him. There's like a nasty edge to everything he does. And it's unnerving watching him try to like have human emotions. He's like a psychopath that just mimics human emotions. When he smiles, his eyes don't do, like they don't squint down. He goes like this. And it's everything else. Everything about him. All his emotions just seem disingenuous. Like a nutcase, you know, who's been rehearsing them.
Like a reptile?
Yeah, like one of those reptilian people that people speak about. I don't know what it is, man, but there's just something about him. He's like someone that's got like a whole bunch of, you know, even this type of thing. It's like it's all playing on greed. You know what I mean? Everyone out there needs cash, and he's just dangling a big wad of it over the top of him. And I reckon he just revels in the people that lose. I reckon the people that win, he pretends that he's happy for them, but really he's just like cranking off to just all the upsetness in the room. That's how I reckon he gets down.
I don't mind him. He could be a really nice guy. You don't even know that. He might be, you know, he might just be a mastermind. And
I think he is a mastermind. I think part of his mastermind plan is to do nice acts probably outside of this to mask the fact that he's a raging lunatic. I reckon in his spare time he drives around in a fanciest car and just sees people with pram and honks the horn so the baby wakes up and cries.
That's horrible.
I don't know a single person, in talking to a lot of people outside the internet and on the internet, I don't know a single person that watches Mr. Beast, and yet he is always given this major airtime. Just by looking at his eyes, you can tell that something is empty and wrong there, and it also doesn't help that he partnered with the Rockefeller Foundation, and he pushes things like Neuralink and lab-grown meats.
You guys know about the mattress theory, right?
No. Mattress theory?
Yes. Tell me why. If you look at mattress stores, a lot of them are across the street from each other. That's one. Two, mattress stores, they barely have anybody in there.
They never do.
How are you staying in business for years to come? You're beating out all the other businesses?
So you're saying that they're hiding things in those mattresses?
It could be laundering. It could be transport. It could be fronts. If you pay attention, really look at mattress stores, where they're located. A lot of them are near each other. They never go out of business. How many mattresses do you buy every year?
You don't.
You don't. So how many other times do other people buy mattresses?
You probably buy one every few years.
Exactly.
Realistically.
I mean, to stay in business, you got to sell. Right?
So you're saying they stuff in people and or drugs and or money, like cartoon shit.
I'm not saying I'm not claiming anything. It doesn't make sense. That's all I'm saying.
It's like the mall, though. What's all those stores in the mall doing? How are they in business?
I don't know.
Seriously, go to your local mall. Just look around. How's in kiosks?
Yeah, a lot of them.
How are they in business?
I don't know.
How are they making that much money?
Especially with Amazon right now.
When's the last time you actually went to a mall?
I actually just went. First time in a long time.
But you like to buy like some clothes or whatever?
Nah.
What do they buy in malls?
That's what I'm saying. It's like always a bunch of empty stores.
It's fraud, right? So if you really think about it, if these stores aren't selling stuff the way they are, especially with Amazon, and the competition is crazy right now. Think about this. You have a large overhead. You have all this inventory. How are you staying in business? Now you look at a situation like the Leering Center in Minnesota and all these
The Learning Center.
Well, the Learning Center.
Oh,
Remember the Learning Center? They forgot the N and the daycare fraud, right?
Oh, right.
So they have no kids, but you got $6 million a year for no kids. So you really got to look at all these other businesses because how are you staying afloat?
That's how they're going to crash the system.
They're going to
keep
start
exposing this. We're going to find out everything's a fraud.
Right.
Do they think we're stupid?
That's why we're $38 trillion in debt. And how are we able to print our own money, but we're paying taxes? Does that make sense?
How?
If we can create the money, why are we paying taxes? Does that make sense to anybody? You can just print it up, right? But we pay taxes. That's the fraud right there.
This whole place is built on it.
Does anybody else see this shit?
We're getting there. I'm telling you, that's why Trump is the last president of this regime.
Because once we show all the fraud that's going on over the next few years, when it goes from healthcare, when it goes to the school system, when it goes into all these other different industries, you're like, shit, what if all this is a fraud? We're done.
That's where we're going, guys.
Yeah.
That video came from a great channel called The Maverick Approach, and the only thing I can really think of when it comes to mattresses, these mattress stores, is that the only thing keeping them in business are these hotels and motels, but that's kind of a stretch into itself. And yeah, when it comes to shopping malls, you don't see people throughout the malls like you used to, especially when it comes to shopping. So what's keeping them afloat?
Bishop at this museum I went to. I saw a Nephilim bishop at this museum I went to, and I know he's a Nephilim because he has 6 fingers, gold eyes, and the face paint going on. In case you're not familiar with this, Genesis 6 says the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair and they took them. Verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days and also after that when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men and they bare children. A lot of people get uncomfortable and try to interpret this away, but the text interprets itself. The sons of God are angels. They were the watchers. Job 38, as well as a bunch of other places, directly tie the sons of God to the angels. Verse 7 says, when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. In the video that I talked about this, I added captions, and I want you to see what the auto captions did on this one part because it sent me down a whole rabbit hole and it's insane. The Mary statue was a bishop. That's very clearly a Nephilim. The glowing gold eyes. I did this multiple times and it comes up the same way each time. I clearly said Nephilim and it titled it Episcopal, which is a denomination. So I started looking into it, and as I was looking into it, I realized the obvious. Just break down the Greek etymology. Epi means large, huge. Scopal literally means watcher. Huge watcher. Literally Nephilim. I didn't say anything that sounded like Episcopal, and it put Episcopal every single time I tried to run the captions on this. So of course, it's a church that celebrates unity, and they like try to focus on LGBT and like trans pastors or bishops or whatever. So then I Google it, and on top of the fact that it's called Giant Watchers, Episcopalian, you add alien to it too? And I get that people are going to be like, oh, it's just how you spell it. Da, da. Come on. There's no such thing as a coincidence. It's literally giant watcher, and then you're going to add in alien. But wait, there's more. It falls under the umbrella of Anglican angels. So you have the giant watcher aliens, and it's under the umbrella of the Angels Church. The majority of the LGBT archbishops or whatever leadership don't wear crosses. They wear Egyptian ankhs.
That great video came from Kay Podgy, and I've never heard anybody break down Episcopal like the way she did, but it makes a lot of sense. And with Christianity having so many different denominations, really makes you wonder how many of them have been started or are still under these entities, with the sole purpose is to cause confusion.
So the digital ID system is going to take place sometime in the future. We don't know when it's going to take place, but it's going to take place sometime in the future. But the question on the table is, how are they going to get all of us to sign on to join that system? And so this post that was just posted on February 11th might be the answer. Because this guy, Nikita, he's the head of product on X. And just on February 11th, just a couple days ago, he made a prediction. And he said in less than 90 days, all channels that we thought were safe from spam and automation will be so flooded that they will no longer be usable in any functional sense. iMessage, phone calls, Gmail. And we will have no way to stop it. Now, this has 8.8 million views. Reason why this is connected to artificial intelligence is because recently there's this artificial intelligence. It's called Seed Dance. If you guys have seen the video of Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise fighting, you can't tell that it is fake. We can't tell that it is artificial intelligence. And so that is what is going to be being implemented in all of society. And so what this guy is saying is that we're not going to know what's real anymore. And so the idea is that this reality that you and I are trending towards is going to be involving artificial intelligence that is unrecognizable or indistinguishable, rather, to human beings. And so for the first time ever, we are not going to know what's real anymore. If you answer the phone when the phone rings, it's going to be a voice that you're familiar to, but it's going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to be a picture where you're going to see somebody and you're not going to know if it's real or fake anymore. That is where we are going. And so the question on the table right now is, going back to digital IDs, is like, how in the world are they going to get everybody to sign into this program or to this system for digital IDs? And so the idea that at least I'm bouncing around in my own mind is perhaps what this guy basically just signaled. In less than 90 days, all of the things that you and I are familiar with are no longer going to be trusted because of the rise of artificial intelligence. And so enter in digital IDs, because digital IDs is going to basically be the system that authenticates whether you are a human. And that never used to be an issue anymore. Like, nobody would ever question whether you're human or not because there wasn't this technology. But now we are in the world where there is this technology. And so now, in order to safeguard yourself amongst all of these people who are trying to scam you and the robots and the AI that are out there doing all the crazy stuff, we need to find a way to discern what is robotic or artificial intelligence and what is human. And so there is this digital ID system that is ready to save the day.
I saw this video off of Barry Stepp's channel, and when I heard this person talking about this, the one thing I thought is that they're going to go ahead and use AI to cause a lot of traffic to stop us from being able to communicate, especially when it comes to their big quote-unquote alien agenda. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.